you need to be in this class. We're going to give away 20 passes right now. Get your phones ready. This class is free for you. It's normally valued at $1,000. You'll also receive a flash drive loaded with 4 powerful home study courses on how to time the markets. That's valued at $247. This is all free for you. We have classes coming up here during the week and the weekends. To reserve your seat, give us a call right now, 561-886-4578. 561-886-4578. One more time, 561-886-4578. If you're text savvy, you can text us right now to reserve your seat. You'll get the full schedule. They'll message you back with a link. You click on the link. You'll get the schedule. You can register on your mobile device. Text the letters OTA to the number 41411 right now to register immediately. Once again, text the letters OTA to the number 41411 right now to reserve your seat. Once again, they have classes during the week and the weekends. You know, if you live in Palm Beach, give us a call. You live in Broward County, live in Miami, give us a call and get your seat reserved. We have a few more seats remaining. 561-886-4578. 561-886-4578. And we talk about the markets. You know, so far they've been in a down market. And a lot of people have been humbled pretty much in the last year, because last year we pretty much had a sideways, slightly down market. And I'm terrified out there that if the markets continue to crash and go down, that a lot of our listeners out there are just going to ride the markets down. I mean, think about this, listeners. I mean, if you had $100,000 in the market and the markets dropped 30% this year, I mean, how much is that going to cost you? How much is that going to cost you financially? It's going to cost you $30,000. Now, I don't know in your world if that's a lot of money, but if it is, what are you going to do to protect that? And that comes down to having strategies, and our partner Online Trading Academy, they have a market timing strategy where they actually teach you how to identify institutional levels of supply and demand. Now, if you're out there, if you've never, looked at price charts and all you've looked at is fundamentals, ask yourself this: how has that worked out for you over the years? It's about understanding institutional levels of supply and demand. And Chris, why don't you explain a little bit, how we're able to do that and make money in any type of market condition?
Well, in any market, Blake, you know that it's a matter of buying at wholesale and selling at retail. What the major banks and brokerages have really been doing, they are the buyers at wholesale prices. And as the markets have been ascending, they are then the sellers to the retail. The retail being the small investors, the people that invest in the mutual funds. And we've all been trained by the financial markets to invest in these mutual funds. When I have people that come to my market timing class, I'm never really shocked, but I will ask them, does anybody know the name of the funds that they're in? Most people know the name of the company, but not the individual funds. I'll ask them, do you know where you bought them? No idea. Do you have a strategy of what if the market goes down? Where are you going to get out? No. So they have only been listening to what they've been told by their banks and brokerages and financial institutions, and they really have no clue as to how the markets really work. So in the classroom, we go into the strategies employed by the institutions, the banks and the brokerages, and how they do their buying and selling. And one of the things that we identify early on with a very high degree of accuracy are market turning points. So when I have students that come into class and they will say, well, Chris, where do you think the market is going? And because they're afraid. If the market goes down, they know that they'll be losing money. And what I'll often say to them is, it doesn't matter to me what direction the market goes, because I know how to make money in an up market, a down market, or a sideways market. And the students that I've been teaching, I'm now teaching them how to be able to make money in an up, down, or sideways market. So it's irrelevant as to what the direction is going to be. We just want to be able to make money no matter what direction it goes in. So at the Academy, we employ a couple of major strategies. One is mentoring. You want to sit down and be in a classroom with somebody who has traded and invested for many years, so they have seen markets, not just the up market that we've seen from 2009 until, say, early last year, and then the market went sideways, and now, beginning of this year, it's been down. So you want somebody that has been in the markets and has seen several market cycles. And those are our instructors. We have several instructors at the Academy that have 20, 30, 40 years of trading experience. Several of our instructors have come from the Northeast, from trading on the New York or trading on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So we have varied instructors with a lot of different experience in all kinds of markets, not just stocks, but futures, forex, and options. And we have instructors that have now seen markets, they've seen cycles from bear markets, bull markets, and have worked through troughs. And they're giving their students the benefit of their wisdom in our classes. So it's not like our students are going out and they're alone in the market. They have mentors that can show them the turning points. And then we have coaches that write down trading plans with their students, so the students have a written plan. Blake, do you know of any successful business that doesn't have a business plan?
Absolutely not.
So how can people expect that they can be successful investing or trading in the market without a written trading plan? And the next thing I would ask, do you know any successful business that doesn't know what market it's in?
Absolutely not.
So we have some students come and they've given their money to banks and brokerages, and they don't even know what investments their banks and brokerages have put them in. So they really have been trained or brainwashed to a certain degree, the way Wall Street has most people. When it comes to their investing, they'll say, don't worry about your investments. Don't worry, just have to be in it for the long term. But when the market is going up, everybody seems like a genius. When the market's going down, you can tell who is swimming naked. Now that is a quote from Warren Buffett.
Right. I mean, think about this, listeners. You talk about retirement accounts. Are you on track to retire? I mean, are your accounts growing whether the markets are going up, down, or sideways? A lot of people out there, they have 401ks, they have IRAs. You're in mutual funds. Those mutual funds typically consist of stocks. So you are actually in the stock market, and you may have not even realized it. The question is, what stocks are you in? How is that mutual fund composed? But here's the big question. How much fees are you paying in your retirement accounts? How did they return last year in the markets? If you don't know, when you get home out of the car, you need to look at your statements and begin to figure this out. But if you want to learn more about your investments, if you have 401ks, if you have IRAs, 403bs, if you have money in the markets and you don't really know what's going on, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give away 20 passes. This is going to be for a half-day class on wealth management and better understanding the investments that you have. If you don't understand what's going on in your accounts, this class is for you. If you're not generating income in your accounts every single year, this class is for you. To reserve your seat, this class is normally valued at $1,000. It's going to be free for you listeners. All you got to do is pick up the phone and give us a call. You'll also receive a flash drive loaded with 4 powerful home study courses on wealth management. That's valued at $247. But to reserve your seat in an upcoming class, we have classes during the week, on the weekends in Broward County, Palm Beach County. Give us a call right now, 561-886-4578. 561-886-4578. You can also text to register. We have classes coming up here on the weekend, during the week. You could text the letters OTA to the number 41411 to reserve your seat right now. Once again, text the letters OTA to the number 41411 to reserve your seat today.
The Trader's Edge Radio Show has been brought to you by Online Trading Academy in South Florida. Online Trading Academy teaches how to trade stocks, options, futures, and forex, and how money is made in up markets, sideways markets, and down markets, all with limited risk. Learn using our money, not yours, in real classrooms with certified instructors who currently trade and are profitable. If you want to plan a better retirement or supplement your income, learn the right way to trade and invest. Attend a free class to see how it works at Online Trading Academy in South Florida. Half-day classes meet in Broward, and now our new location in Palm Beach. They're free. Call now, 561-674-9800. That's 561 561-674-9800. 561-674-9800.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Talk 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
AM 1470, WNN, with more of what you need to know. Start your day with the Steve Kane Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on South Florida's Health and Wealth Network, AM 1470, WNN.
The stock market dropped again. So, how much did your mutual funds and 401ks lose this time? If you're tired of losing money in down markets, learn how a lot of people are making money in down markets at Online Trading Academy. Since 1997, Online Trading Academy has given classroom lessons on the right way to trade stocks, options, futures, and Forex with limited risk. You'll learn with the school's money, not yours. Learn from pros who are certified, currently trade, and are profitable. They show you the right way to make trades every day. If you're tired of watching your money disappear in a down market, register for a free half-day class and see how banks and institutions trade stocks, options, futures, and Forex and make money in up, sideways, and down markets. Free half-day classes in Broward and Palm Beach. Call Online Trading Academy now. 561-674-9800. 561-674-9800. 561-674-9800.
Looking to get more business in 2016? Join the Better Living Home and Garden Expo at the James L. Knight Convention Center, March 4th through the 6th. Get your business in front of thousands of consumers for a small investment. To sign up as an exhibitor, call 888-214-6607. A great way to generate leads, know your competitors, and the bottom line, increase your revenue. Call 888-214-6607. That's 888-214-6607.
What you want to know. What you need to know.
Talk 1470, WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show with local celebrity hosts Steve-O and Renee. Sit back each week while Steve-O and Renee educate you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve-O and Renee with today's expert in their field.
Hey, this is Steve-O with Ask the Experts without my partner, Renee. We have a morning show that she's got to work on. But the first Thursday of the month, this 5 to 6 hour, is my favorite. It's so, especially we get so many calls. And the phone number here is 888-565-1470. This is our association law show. We do it every, now Thursday, with the senior partners, Robert Kaye and Michael Bender.
Good afternoon.
Hi, guys.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I love doing this show with you, especially because the phone calls are starting to come in, which is really good and really makes it go by fast. There's always new people tuning in.
Hope you didn't just jinx us.
No. Listen, no, because there was a Monday that you weren't on, and people were calling in. We had 3 phone calls. Anyway, tell everybody, whoever wants to start first, tell everybody about the law firm, because there's always new people tuning in for the first time.
Well, Kaye Bender Rembaum is a law firm that's been continuously providing community associations.
Is there really a Rembaum?
There really is.
We've been doing this a year and a half. I've never seen Rembaum.
He's listening. Say hello.
He's in our Palm Beach
Hi,
Gardens
Mr.
office.
Rembaum.
It's a long drive for him at this time of day, especially with the traffic. If you want to do that, I'm sure he'd be happy to come.
He definitely would.
We've been continuously providing representation to community associations since 1992. We provide all sorts of the legal needs of community associations, from covenant reviews, enforcement, amendment creation, collection of unpaid assessments, contract negotiation, dealing with construction defects if the contract didn't work out so well, general construction defects, post-turnover from developers. across the whole gamut of anything that comes up on a day-to-day basis in operating community association.
Are there still associations that don't have representation?
Of course.
There are?
Sure.
How do you do that?
Well, there's so many associations that, people think that they can handle it. They don't want to spend the money necessarily. They may not have issues. They may be smaller.
Is there such thing as not having issues when it comes to association?
Unlikely. Well, the word issues, perhaps, maybe they don't have problem residents or they don't have violations of documents, but they might have outdated documents and they need to, so that they could be negatively affected by, certainly, especially in the condominium and the cooperative setting, there's likely some kind of construction projects, and HOAs will have them as well, but but certainly in the condominium and the cooperative setting, there's always construction-related projects updating to the buildings and the property itself. And contracts should certainly be reviewed by experienced association counsel before they proceed. So
it's like running a business,
well,
though.
it's
Not
not like
like
it
it
is.
is.
That's
Absolutely
the
is.
point. And so you ask, are there associations out there that don't have counsel? Yes, we do run across them. As you know, we do a lot of programs, education, and we have people who come to them, and they will come up and they'll say, we don't have an association attorney, and this is a question we have. And it does catch me by surprise each time that you have a corporation, a business, and individuals and their volunteers, and the job's generally thankless, so they should all be applauded for taking on the job. But they do one thing they should be doing, which is their fiduciary duty, fiduciary obligation to the community, is putting experts in place. If it's if they want to, they might self-manage or get a good management team, have an experienced CPA to assist with financials, have an experienced insurance agent deal with insurance, have an attorney to help you with your legal issues across the board. These are business experts that you, as your corporation, should have available and use when necessary.
And not just any one of these experts, but ones that have a background in dealing with association issues, because they are somewhat unique or different from general business type issues.
I actually had a person who was president of the association who ran a big corporation right here in Delray. And he said, I thought this would be so easy because I've run a business before.
Sure.
It's not the same.
Even lawyers who get on their boards find out that it's something that's not within their area of expertise, and they get lost.
Well, you can actually watch today's show live. We're on TV right now. You can go to your website. I can't believe you both smiled.
Yeah, I saw him do it, so I thought I should look that way. I didn't want to be rude.
Yes. So you can go to www.kbasandboyrlegal.com. You can watch the show right now. Or if you're in your car, when you get home, you can go to the website and watch today's show as well as other past shows. Now, one of the things I love about your firm is how you guys give back to the community. You have seminars. I mean, it's just because we actually were at one of your town hall meetings, and wow, there was probably about 40 or 50 people there. Questions after questions after questions. 2 hours worth of questions. Mm-hmm. So I know you have some seminars coming up. You have some town halls coming up. Let's first talk about dates you have coming up.
Well, you're right. We do a lot of free education, and it is part of giving back, and it is enjoyable for us. It's outside of, it's something different and outside of the day-to-day grind of the practice. So it's nice to, for me especially, it's nice to go out and meet a lot of people who obviously share an interest, not necessarily the same type of interest, but if you live in a community, you're a community leader, board member, manager, and
there were some residents there.
Right. Well, that's things that then you have a similar interest as I do in community association living. And so it's good to get out there. And we have we're doing, you mentioned the town hall. We have programs that we've been offering for 8 years. And these programs, what it is we do a lot of classes. And these classes are geared towards specific topics. And we can talk a little about that later. But we have classes on the board member certification course class, fair housing classes, covenant enforcement, operations and insurance issues, classes that have specific topics, specific agendas. And we've done these for years, and we'd have people come to these classes because they're interested in the topics, of course, and then questions would come up which would be off topic. And as you know, we do want to answer all questions. But
You
when
do.
you have people who come for a particular class, particular agenda, it's not, in my opinion, the right thing to do to go off topic in the middle of a class. You finish the material, and then if you take questions unrelated, perhaps at the end. And so from that, we decided, we'd not seen any program where people could just come without a set agenda, come and talk about the hot topics that are involved in the area, or just issues that are germane to their communities. It's basically an opportunity for everything to run an effective community, and there's no set agenda. So these are what we call those town hall programs, because it is a lot of feedback. The attendees set the agenda with their questions and with their topics, and no two are ever the same because it's set by those who come. And I've seen, we have a few people who we see a lot of these different programs, and they told us it's great because every time we come, sometimes we don't even come with questions. We just come to listen to the other topics that are raised and questions that are raised, and are able to then get more information, or it stems something else, and we appreciate that. And so these continue in February. We have 2 coming up this month, and they are both on Tuesdays. The next 2 Tuesdays, Tuesday, February 9th, will be at 6:30 p.m. at the Art Serve on 1350 East Sunrise Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale.
Sponsored by Bank United, by the way.
Yes, we have Bank United, who is excited to come in and sponsor the program with us. So there'll be representatives from the bank there as well, and so we'll have experts on community association banking answering questions on bank loans and financing and things of that nature. And then on Tuesday, February 16th. Will be at the South County Civic Center. That's a morning session. That's at 10 a.m. And that's at 16700 Jog Road. And that's in Boca?
Delray.
Or Delray. So why did I say
Actually,
Boca?
it says Boca Delray.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of on the border.
I think it's on the border. So we have, again, the February 9th at 6:30 p.m. and February 16th at 10 a.m. are the next 2 programs. One in Fort Lauderdale, one in the Boca Delray area. Website has all the information.
Topic again. What's the topic?
These are the topics are going to be set by the attendees.
These are the town hall
format. So it's basically everything you need to know in order to run your association effectively, efficiently, and successfully. And the topics
we'll come up with topics if the people there don't. But
there was no problem
that
last
hasn't
time.
been an issue.
No, it's not. And the topics range from, just again, you have bank foreclosure issues, collection issues, which still come up periodically. You have landlord-tenant issues, or sale approval rights, leasing of units, unauthorized tenants, fair housing issues, whether it be accommodations or modifications, amending your documents, updating your documents, contract questions, questions on changes in the Florida laws. As each year there's changes, and legislators have changed. So we talk about changes that have occurred in 2015 that affect all communities, and also talk about some of the things that are ongoing in 2016. If these are some of the questions that have come up the program so far this year.
Sometimes they ask about emotional support animals.
Yeah, fair housing. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and some of the questions will be very specific, and to that, of course, we don't have governing documents, so we can't address it. But we'll take those specific questions, we'll turn it into a more general answer, so at least to give some guidance. And they've gone very well, and so we look forward to having people come. And it's easy to RSVP. KBR Legal Seminar at PearsonGrant.com, and that's PIERSON Grant.com. Or you can just call 954-776-1999, and it's extension 242. But the easiest way probably would just be to go to our website at kbrlegal.com, kbrlegal.com, and they'll click on information regarding our programs, and then you can go right from there. Or you can call our office at 800-974-0680. Just let them know you're interested in a seminar or a program, and they'll refer you to the right person to get you RSVP'd.
And let me tell you, they can just go to your website. You've got such a great website.
We do.
There's
Thank
so
you.
much good information on there. Listen, I see a lot of websites. It's easy to read. There's a lot of good information on there.
Good education materials.
Oh, it's wonderful. And again, now one more time, the people who would have interest to the seminar.
Well, to all of our programs, I would say that any licensed community association manager, any board members, or any community association leaders.
Okay. We have some time. We can go to a phone call. Let's go to John. Hey, John.
Yes, hi.
Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Hi, John.
All right. How are you?
You have a question for Robert or Michael?
Yes, I do. I'm a president of a small condo in Fort Lauderdale, and what I would like to know is we have an agreement in our documents which states that any unit owner can lease out their unit provided it's a 12-month lease. We have no provision for seasonal leasing. We have one of the unit owners who is leasing her condominium on a seasonal basis. And I just wanted to know what the procedures we have available to us as far as that situation. Where do we go from here to notify her that she's not only violating the documents of our agreement, but do we have to take it? What is the next step if she says, well, I don't really care if I'm violating the documents? Where do we go from there?
Okay, John. So you've notified this person that there's a violation, that if any, does she submit these leases to the association, or she just brings someone in and you see them there for a few months and then they go?
She's been informed. She knows that she's in violation of the documents, but she doesn't seem to have any interest about that. She seems to be going to proceed the way she's proceeded. And I'm trying to find out, do we have to just hire a lawyer at this point, or do we have to notify our attorney at this point?
In all likelihood, John, it's going to take attorney involvement to resolve this situation, because the owner's already shown you she's not interested in responding directly to you. The things that the attorneys can do is certainly make demand that she cease the violation. The problem you face is before you can likely get any legal action going, the violation may be over because the seasonal lease ended and the tenants left. So bringing actions against an owner for a violation that's no longer in place can become a problem in the enforcement arena, being in the arbitration with the division of condominium or in a court for an injunction. But when you have a pattern of continuing activity that you can document, you can get around that particular problem in both of those arenas and get orders from the arbitrator or the court that compel the owner not to violate these provisions. Other than taking legal action, you also have the ability to impose fines against owners that violate. The statute has recently been changed to eliminate the requirement that you have documentary authority to establish fines, but you can do so now under the statute if you follow the statutory procedure, which requires you to have an independent committee to review the fines that the board intends to impose and either approve them or not after a hearing that the owner has an opportunity to attend. And there's a certain notice requirement that they're entitled to and before you can have such a hearing. Once the fines are imposed, they will accrue against the unit while there is a violation, but not when there's no violation. A problem you also experience with fines in condominiums is collecting them, because under the statute in a condominium, the fine cannot be an assessment or a lien against the unit. So that weakens the enforcement aspect of fining a little bit, but sometimes people don't want to have fines against them, so that might encourage them to comply. There are some other items that you can do depending on how your documents are written, but we need to see those and be able to give you some guidance, one of which could allow you to impose the attorney's fees that you incur in obtaining compliance from a violating owner directly to that owner as an assessment, which is a good inducement to owners to listen to the board without having the attorney get involved. So there are things
that's very interesting.
There are things we can do to help you. So if you are interested, contact our office.
Give them the phone number.
954-928-0680 is how you can reach us at our office. Or if you already have an attorney working with you, you could ask them to, get into these a little deeper.
Thank you very much. That was very informative.
Thank you for the call, John.
We're going to go to break real fast, and when we come back, we're going to have Nancy. We'll be right back.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with Kaye Bender Rembaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, Kaye Bender Rembaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert Kaye, Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, Kaye Bender Rembaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
And we are back. Now, these guys can't say that because the bar doesn't really allow them, but I can. This is one of the top association law firms in Florida. Not just South Florida, all of Florida. Because you cover basically all of Florida.
Most of it, yes.
Yeah. So we have both the senior partners with us, Robert Kaye and Michael Bender. If you want to call us, our number here is 888-565-1470. We got another caller waiting. Let's go to Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, good afternoon.
Say hello to Robert and Michael.
Okay, hi, Robert and Michael.
Hello,
Hi,
Nancy.
I just have a quick question. We recently, after a terrible time, fired our management company, got a new management company, and put in a new board, completely new board. And, of course, one of the first things we did was review the bylaws, and we've had a terrible time getting them to release the accounts, which they're fighting with. And I'm not on the board per se, but I'm very interested, and I wondered if there's anything else that we should be doing at this time or the board should be doing in particular. Like I said, we're having a terrible time getting the bank to release our books.
The bank?
Which I find unbelievable, but...
You say the bank is not releasing records?
Yes, management, yes. It's having. I think the board is really, working for that. And I missed the last board meeting because I was out of town, so they may have gotten that taken care of by now. But
well, I've had that situation come up with other clients of ours where there was a changeover in the board, and then the bank was hesitant to release information until they received certain documentation. And do you know which bank it is? Well, actually, let's not say the bank. On the rate right now, but I will tell you, having relationships with several banks, it does. What in the past, what I've done is just reached out with a phone call, found out what exactly do they need, and then you get that documentation. It should not be difficult. I don't see it. Okay. I mean, it has come up once or twice, but it doesn't come up that often. And typically, if you're updating SunBiz so that it reflects the new corporate officers, and then there's documentation, whether it be minutes of the meeting. In this case, you said that with the new board, we should be able to show that, and then I think those two documents, along with correspondence from your association counsel, should be more than sufficient for the bank to be able to give. You sign new signature cards with the bank, and then they should give you access.
And sometimes we find when management is changed under circumstances like you've described with the board as well. They may have an existing relationship with the bank through the management company, and there are many other accounts that they have that sometimes make it confusing or difficult for the bank to be cooperative with the new board or the new management company. Under those circumstances, you could consider switching to another local bank that might be more workable for your new management team.
Great. Okay, you know what? As I said, I'm not on the board, but the next meeting I'm going to suggest all of this. Thank you for your help.
You need to get on your board.
Appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, have a great afternoon.
You too.
So is that an unusual question?
Not so.
Okay.
It does come up now and again.
We got another call. Let's go to Elise.
Hi, Elise.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Thanks for holding. You have a question?
Listen, I have a question about a term in our bylaws. It's called undue hardship for rentals. Is there any case law that backs up anything as far as like what is an undue hardship for rental that we could fall back on?
The provision you've identified is not typical in documents that are created, so it was probably added by amendment by the community at some point during your history. Now, normally there isn't such a you probably have a provision in which you restricted the ability to rent or maybe prohibited it completely. And at the time, the board thought it was a good idea to create a hardship exception under certain circumstances, which are not defined in the amendment provision itself. It's best to do that if you can. Right. The law itself does not contain any specific guidelines on that. It falls to the community to define it internally. And if the documents read as you've indicated, and the board has the ability to adopt rules and regulations in your documents, which typically they do, but would have to be confirmed, the board could adopt a rule that identifies the specific hardship exceptions that the board will consider acceptable. Now, what a board does this year on that topic, a new board down the road can revise and change if it's done that way. Another method to resolve it is by amending that provision through a vote of your owners that more specifically identifies and defines what hardship exception will qualify. Otherwise, you're basically at the whim of whoever's at the board at the time.
Right. And to piggyback on that, Elise, having the language of a hardship exception in a now, you said it's in your governing documents under the lease section. Does your community prohibit leasing?
Say that I couldn't understand what you just said.
Did you say? You said the hardship exception is to what? To the ability to, so that there's a prohibition on leasing except for this hardship? Yeah. Right. And so now you have a situation, two things. One, you have a situation where you're putting discretion in the hands of the board to say whether it's considered a hardship or not. And unless, as Robert was talking about, they're specifically defined, the board, there's exposure to potential allegations of discrimination. When you're, even though even though the actual basis may be completely non-discriminatory, it does expose the association to unnecessary risk, and that is something that needs to be considered when these amendments were put in. Secondly, any restrictions on renting should have one exception, and that exception should be to except for any unit the association owns. Because you want to be able, if the association is in a situation where it has to pursue an owner for non-payment, the only remedy for that would be the lien foreclosure process. And then the association may end up taking title to this property, and in that scenario, if they can't sell it because there's an outstanding mortgage on it or other encumbrances, then the association should have the ability, in that limited instance, to rent units so that you can address some of the bad debt that's being incurred. So those are two other things to think about, and both of those are things that should be addressed through the amendment process. So you'd want to have an experienced community association lawyer look at that and review that with the board.
Wow, thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for the call.
Thanks, Elise.
Bye-bye.
We're going to go to break. Before we go to break, we've had a lot of rain here, so water intrusion. What happens? Do you consult the boards for maintenance work? Because I just saw one of our complexes the other day. They had like 5 water damage trucks out there from all the rain that's done. Do you get involved with that?
Well, when we're asked to.
Yes, sir. Certainly clients will call. The situation of responsibility for resolving water intrusion issues is one that's generally going to be document specific to the community. So the governing documents, if it's a condominium or a homeowner association, will address who's supposed to deal with those types of issues. Typically in a condominium, the external portion of the building is the responsibility of the association. Sometimes situations like windows fall to the responsibility of the owner, so you need to confirm that in the documents to see who's responsible for the sources of water intrusion.
It'll also depend on if it's an insurable event or not.
Right.
Okay. We got to go to break, and when we come back, we have more with association law, one of the top association law firms in Florida. We'll be right back.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with Kaye Bender Rembaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, Kaye Bender Rembaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert Kaye, Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, Kaye Bender Rembaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size, and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
Long time.
So let's finish on. We're back here with Robert and Michael, and I kind of brought up something, and you were starting to go for it, and maybe we can talk about it some more because we've had a lot of rain, and maybe there's something that management company needs to contact you about, especially when it involves the interior.
Well, as we were discussing before the break, certainly with the amount of rain we've been having lately, there are places that are experiencing water intrusion from various sources around their building. As Michael mentioned, it does need to be determined if it's an insurable event or a casualty issue covered by insurance versus just a regular maintenance issue, because they're dealt with differently, at least with respect to condominiums. In the homeowner association setting, it's just what your documents provide as to maintenance responsibilities.
Okay. Let's tell everybody right now, you can watch us live. All you have to do is go to www.kbrlegal, KB as in boy, rlegal.com. You can actually watch us live right now. And if you're driving the car and you get home tonight, you can actually go back, not only watch today's show, but other shows from the past.
And learn all about the different education programs, some of which we've discussed, several of which we haven't yet. So if we have time, we'll get to them.
We got a caller, and then we'll go to that.
Let's do that.
I believe the name's Jorn.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking the call.
Tell me what your name is again.
A weird question.
What's your name again?
Joan.
Oh, Joan. Okay.
You can't read your own writing.
Hi, Joan.
Hi, guys. I was told by a very high-level licensed manager last week that there may be not a protective provision in our insurance concerning if a board member says something to somebody and that person records them, that most of the insurance policies just protect you in the D&O part of your insurance if it's written. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Well, I'm not sure. You're saying if a board member is speaking to another person and says something, I suppose that's defamatory?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and they're recorded, that the policy will not cover them if it's recorded, but will cover them if it's written?
Yes, and that there's exclusions in most of the language of the insurance policies, therefore leaving the board member at risk of being sued personally.
Well,
Have you ever heard of that?
Before we get into the specific
part,
of your question, you raise an issue that concerns us as attorneys when we hear that a manager is giving legal advice to owners, which is actually precluded by decisions of the Florida Supreme Court. Managers are not supposed to be giving legal advice because they're not lawyers. And what you've just identified sounds like your manager giving legal advice, or the individual from the management company, which may or may not be correct. First off,
I just want to add one thing, and for that reason, those of you who are board members listening, please don't put your managers in the position of asking them to provide legal advice because
Or expecting it.
it is, or expecting them to. If you're asking them questions that require legal advice, they should be authorized to reach out to experienced counsel and get the guidance they need to help you get informed decisions.
Now, insurance policies are not all the same, so exclusions need to be reviewed in each policy. The situation you've described, and if it was a defamatory verbal comment, that would be something that doesn't fall within the scope of an individual board member's duties as a member of the board. So from that perspective, the insurance may not cover a claim made against them. But in general terms, board members only have personal liability exposure if they are improperly taking financial gains from the association, if they are acting in willful disregard of the law, or are grossly negligent in the manner in which they are operating. So these are very high standards to create personal liability. But if a board member does something beyond the scope, such as defame somebody, slander them, that's a personal cause of action between the parties and does not really involve the association.
I see.
Does that answer your question?
And I think that really, Joan, I think that really goes more to what the issue is. I surmise, like, if the board member, if a meeting was being recorded, which is authorized by statute and by the administrative code, if the meeting was being recorded and then a board member, stood up during the meeting and stated something to a particular owner that would be considered slanderous or defamatory, that's where it would be on tape, and then that's where Robert's saying, hey, that might have been outside the scope. So I think it's more the issue, not this written or not written versus spoken, but more, is it within the scope of their duty as an officer / director or outside of?
And additionally, even though the insurance may not cover an individual board member for something based upon an exclusion, the corporation, the entity, the association has the ability to, and often documentarily required to, indemnify any member of the board for claims made against them while they're performing their function on the board, irrespective of insurance coverage. So the association may still be able to provide the defense to the claim at the association's expense.
I see. Okay, thanks. Have a great night.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you for listening.
888-565-1470. You got some classes coming up.
We do, actually. We do. We have a lot of programs. We mentioned earlier the town halls next Tuesday, February 9th at the Art Serve, co-sponsored by Bank United. And then the following Tuesday, February 16th at the South County Civic Center in Boca Del Rey area. Art Serve is at 6:30 p.m. Civic Center, South County Civic Center is at 10 a.m. And those programs are the town halls. We also have programs going in both our Pompano Beach and Palm Beach Gardens offices. And go to just go to kbrlegal.com, click on seminars, and get all this information. But start next Wednesday.
Is that link at the top of the page?
It is.
Okay.
Wednesday, February 10th, there'll be an HOA board cert class in Palm Beach Gardens. And Wednesday, February 17th, there'll be a condominium board cert in Palm Beach Gardens. And on Tuesday, February 16th, there'll be a condominium board cert class at Pompano Beach. And on Tuesday, February 23rd, there'll be the Fair Housing Act, Assistance Animal or Pet, also in Pompano Beach. So we would encourage everyone to come out to these great programs. All those classes start in the evening, 6 o'clock at Palm Beach Gardens, 6:30 in Pompano Beach. Space is limited. It is first come. It is free. And there are light stacks provided, so we do ask that you RSVP. You can call 800-974-0680, 800-974-0680. How am I doing?
We also ask, if you do RSVP, if you for some reason are unable to come, that you let us know. That we'd appreciate.
And then the last thing I do want to mention is it is Expo season. And we're very proud to be one of the supporters and sponsors of the Condo HOA Expo series, which is going to be in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County in March. And on March 2nd, and I'll bring that up now, especially because we will
Tell everybody
see
what the expo is.
Well, they're at convention centers, and it's a day of education, whole lot of different classes being offered, and trade show style. So there's booths set up, and we will be there
You'll have a booth
presenting.
there.
We will be presenting 2 classes at each. We'll be doing the 2016 legal update. So all you licensed managers who want to hear whether you take it or not, come out and get more education. March 2nd in Miami at the James L. Knight Center, and that's all day. Legal updates in the morning, and in the afternoon we'll be doing the fair housing class. And then in Broward County on March 9th, we'll be doing the legal update in the morning and a 40-year certification class for those buildings who have their 40-year certification coming up. And March 30th is in Palm Beach County, and we'll talk more about that next month. So,
is there any charge to get into that?
Those are all free. And if you're interested in getting a free lunch, email us at info@kbrlegal.com, and I'll see what I can do for you.
And if you have a legal question for either Michael or Robert, you can call us right now at 888-565-1470. Now, people are getting in their car right now for the first time, tuning in the show. Let's just tell everybody a little bit about the firm again.
Well, Kaye Bender Rembaum is a firm that's devoted to representation of community associations throughout South Florida and into Middle and Upper Florida as well. We provide representation of all aspects of daily operations for community associations, being condominiums, homeowner associations, cooperatives. We're well-versed in the statutory requirements, the case law requirements. We assist in interpretations of the covenants, dealing with violations through covenant enforcements, demand letters of that type to resolve internal disputes. We work with contract negotiation with vendors of all levels of need for the association. Also important to bear in mind, any contract over $2,500 will require certain construction lien documentation and compliance to protect the association. So even small contracts have important ramifications, so it's important to have legal assistance in dealing with that to avoid potential double payments.
Now, there's always new laws coming up out of the Capitol.
They're in session right now.
Okay. Anything new that we should know about that's coming up?
Not this year.
No, they are in session right now. Session runs to the beginning will end, I think, the end of the first week of March, so we're about halfway through. And there are some community association type bills that are out there, but none thus far that are, as far as I'm concerned, being
with traction
moving forward in a direction where we have to consider them good or bad. I have recently learned that there's some legislation which was not favorable that died, and so that's good news.
Yes, that's good.
But the 2015 legislation, which became effective July 1st, brought electronic voting into Florida, and so that's something that if boards are interested in learning more about electronic voting, they can go to our website, and under our section called Legal Morsels and Rembaum's Roundup, there's these articles of education, and one of them talks about legislative changes, and they can read about electronic voting and some of the other lays that have been implemented as of last year.
Great many other topics as well.
Very many other topics.
What are some of the topics? Because I've never read Rembaum's Roundup. What are some of the topics in there?
Well,
information?
You need to be reading Rembaum's Roundup.
I just look at the pictures.
Published every 2 weeks, and so there's always new articles of topical interest being
There
put
really
out.
is a Rembaum then.
There really is a Rembaum.
Hi, Mr. Rembaum.
And he's very prolific in his article writing.
Yes.
There's also some disturbing trends in the courts of late affecting associations, particularly in the area of foreclosures and collection of assessments and lender foreclosures and things that are creating problems for associations in making sure that all of their unpaid assessments are recoverable.
Let's go to Mary first, and I have a follow-up question to that. Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
We're fine. Thanks for holding.
So I have a question. I live in a small condo association, 32 units, and lately I feel like the property is falling into disrepair. So broken hedges, fences, lampposts that fell down. So short of running for the board myself, how can I hold them accountable to fixing the property and getting it back to its standards?
Well,
go ahead.
Unfortunately, in order to do that, you're likely going to need to retain legal assistance to bring legal action against the board for failing in its fiduciary duty to the membership at large in not maintaining the property in accordance with the way the documents require them. And that's a double-edged sword because you'll be incurring expenses in doing that, and the association will be incurring expenses on that side as well. There may be insurance involvement. And as you say, you're a small condominium, so legal action of that nature can have a negative effect rather than getting the real remedy that you're looking for and getting the property fixed up as it needs to be. Which takes you back to the first premise of short of. That means you need to take control of the board with like-minded unit owners with the same goal and an understanding that in order to achieve what you're trying to achieve, there's going to likely be some expense involved to the rest of the unit owners, which is typically unpopular. Right. And that could be why the community has fallen to the situation that you find yourself in, because the board's thinking they don't want to spend the money. So
that's, I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head. That's exactly what happened several years ago. We tried to mount an effort, and it kind of deflated when everyone realized how expensive and how much time it would take to get the board out and to do what we wanted to do.
Well, any board member can be recalled by a majority of the unit owners by a written agreement format. So you only need 17 of you to do that.
Right. But then the challenge is that nobody else wants to serve on the board.
That is a challenge.
Sort of the property falling into receivership, it's sort of, we're stuck between at least
well, somebody's going to have to step up.
Yep. Okay. And can I ask one more question?
Sure.
From your experience, what would you say is a reasonable amount of time for repairs? Because I want to be reasonable and give them time to get estimates and get the bids. But it
really depends on the repairs you're talking about.
What's being repaired?
What type of repairs do you mean?
Like and this part of the problem too is that our reserves are not very well funded. So we had a lamppost that just literally disintegrated and rusted and fell down. So that's gone, and that's been gone for 2 or 3 months. We had an accident a few months ago where a car went through the hedges, and that hasn't been repaired yet. And then just some of the fencing that's been falling down for years. So that I feel like is a little bit unreasonable, but nobody wants to pay to fix that stuff.
Well, time-wise, to take care of any of those items, time-wise could be done in a matter of weeks. So it isn't an issue that it should take long for any one of those in particular.
Yeah.
And the light post, the lamp post, I don't know where it is, but if you're talking like lighting in the parking area or the building, I mean that's that's a security issue as well.
It is a security issue.
So there's some added liability potential to the community as a whole if it's not taken care of.
That's a good point to bring up. Okay. Yep. And we don't have an association manager. They're more of a board of operators in addition to being a board of directors. So it's just
there's often the misconception that having professional management is costly to the association, but quite often some of your expenses are going to be absorbed through the management agreement and through the efficiency of doing what needs to be done. It may be in the best interest of the community to actually have that assistance.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, it seems like I have a big effort ahead of me.
You just have to convince a few of your fellow owners to bite the bullet and do what's right with you.
Oh, yeah, I think I can do that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck. Thanks for calling. God, I feel sorry for her. It's like...
It's tough.
Well, unfortunately, this isn't an unusual set of circumstances, particularly in some of the smaller communities. They tend to have more difficulty because there's fewer participants that are paying the common expenses.
And even if she ran for the board, it's still down to finances.
Well, that's usually what it ultimately comes to.
So let's go to our last break. When we come back, we have more with Robert and Michael from Kaye Bender Rembaum.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with Kaye Bender Rembaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, Kaye Bender Rembaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert Kaye, Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, Kaye Bender Rembaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
And we're back. We're here with Robert and Michael of Kaye Bender Rembaum.
Our final segment of the month.
Remember, this segment is the first Thursday of each month from 5 to 6. And tell your management company, your friends, this is a great show. There's great educational information. You can actually watch our show live right now, or when you get home from work, you can actually go to your website and they can watch today's show as well as the other shows. Just go to www.kbasandboyrlegal.com.
That's true. All true. I'll vouch for you.
These guys have got a great sense of humor. It finally came out after a year. Okay, so let's kind of go over some of the dates again because we've got a few more minutes.
Okay. We have two, what we call our town hall programs. These are the, we call must attend for every community association board member and licensed community association manager because it's 2 hours plus of just an abundance of topics that are germane to knowing how to run your association efficiently and effectively. It just answering all questions relating to all topics that, condominium, HOA, and cooperative.
We dare you to stump us.
I was here for 2 hours, and it's really interesting.
It is, and it's fun. It can be fun, and it is a lot of give and take. And I think the attendees, they're not just sitting there getting talked to. It's a conversational format, and issues will be raised where some of the attendees have hands-on experience. Like we address it, obviously the legal issues, but a president of an association can talk to another president and say, yeah, that actually happened in our community, and here's some of the things that we did, which are from an outside.
It's a great networking, too.
It's an opportunity, yeah. And we have, February 9th, next Tuesday, February 9th, at 6:30 p.m. we'll be at the Art Serve in Fort Lauderdale. That's on 1350 East Sunrise Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. At 6:30 p.m. is start time. The following Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. on February 16th, we will be at the South County Civic Center, which is 16700 Jog Road, and that is on the Boca Del Rey border. kbrlegal.com, 800-974-0680. Reach out to either of those. Let us know you want to go to a program. Or if you go to our website, you'll see there's a number to call to RSVP directly. We ask if you RSVP and you have some topics in mind, let us know what they are in advance so that we can, we'll be prepared to discuss them with great detail. Or if you don't get to do that, bring them with you. But everybody come out. There's plenty of room for everyone, but we would like to know if you're coming so we can make sure we have food and drink for you.
It was the first time I've been to one of your town halls. It was 2 hours. I was going, how am I going to do 2 hours? It was so interesting. And it seemed like people who came with their questions after they start hearing others talk would think of something.
It's always that way. That's why when you have questions in advance, we like that, because what we'll typically do is we'll take a couple of the questions that we got in advance, and this way no one in the room has to be the first one to raise their hand, even though you always have one or two people always
They were raising their hand.
I know. But once we've broken the ice, you're right. Then everyone's free-flowing. And what we'll do with there is, obviously, if a topic is specific only to one or two attendees, we'll try to address it and we'll move on. And then if they have further follow-up questions, Robert and I have always stayed past the 2 hour block and we'll take personal questions. But most of the time, the topics are very germane to a large majority of the attendees. And so we'll start talking about official records as one specific question. And that'll open the floodgates on different questions on official records. And we'll put 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes on that particular topic if it's if there's a lot of interest in, like the fair housing issues comes up and we talk about that, or the leasing of units and things of that nature. And so it really is, everyone really gets to be involved, and it's a good feel. So next Tuesday, the 9th, at the Art Serve, 6:30 p.m. in Fort Lauderdale. Following Tuesday, the 16th at 10 a.m. at the South County Civic Center on Jog Road in Boca.
You want to give your expo dates again?
The first expo will be March 2nd. That's at the James L. Knight Center in Miami. I believe it's the Hyatt Regency. That's on March 2nd, and that's 9:15. We'll be doing the legal update. I think the exhibit hall opens at 10 or 10:30, and it's there all day. And we have an afternoon class on fair housing. That's March 2nd. And then there's the following March 9th at the Broward County Convention Center. We'll do the legal update in the morning, and a great class on 40-year certification, which is great for managers and board members to come out, especially who have these high-rise buildings that are coming up on their 40-year certification, and they need to get more information. And then, of course, we have classes both at Palm Beach Gardens on North Military Trail and Pompano Beach and our address at Copans and Andrews, and that's at kbrlegal.com. Board member certifications and fair housing classes will be given this month in both those two offices as well.
In the beginning of the show, I was asking you about, do most of the associations have legal representation? And it doesn't. I thought they'd all have legal, because there's so much work, and not everybody does. Is that right?
No, clearly not everybody does. I think even some of our callers were indicating they didn't know if they even had association counsel. And the key to, well, at least with us, one thing we do not require, we don't ask if a potential client says, hey, we need some legal guidance today, but we only have an issue or two that comes up a year. Well, that's how our program is set up. When someone signs a retainer, people hear the word retainer and they think money. But when someone signs a retainer with the firm, there is no money that is, we don't ask for money up front to sign our general retainer, which basically authorizes us to work for the community and take direction from our authorized contact, which are given to us by the board. And typically it's going to be a couple of the board members, and if they have a manager, the manager. And so when an issue comes up, they reach out to us, we address the issue with them, and we invoice them monthly. There's no upfront money. It's just a pay-as-you-go type approach. So no one should be afraid to reach out to us or to contact us for counsel, because you don't have to pay a set fee or a lump sum or an annual fee just to have general counsel.
Shouldn't people, they really, though, should have counsel.
Experienced counsel, yes. Whether it's us or someone else, you should have experienced counsel, yes.
How often should the board's papers be looked over by an attorney?
Governing documents?
Governing documents.
Well, in general, if you haven't had your documents reviewed, and I would say more than 10 years, certainly more than 20 years, then it's a good idea at this time, if you don't have the funds now, start budgeting to have experienced counsel review them with you and suggest methods to update them. The laws have changed. Experience has changed. There's been case law as well. All of those things have effects on the community. We have a lot of communities that come to us, and these are developer drafted documents. And the developer doesn't necessarily draft documents to live in the community. The developers are drafting documents to sell the community. And so there are a lot of times where there are provisions which are no longer relevant, or provisions that now that the owners have lived in the community for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they realize, well, we want changes to these things. And so get with experienced counsel to do that. Notwithstanding, even if you have changed your documents over the last few years, Robert was mentioning earlier, because of the recent cases that have come down, especially in the 4th District, which is Palm Beach and Broward, and it affects Miami-Dade as well, 3rd District, there's provisions of your governing documents you should have counsel look at now to see if you're negatively affected, so you can make changes that will allow the associations to be better protected in the foreclosure arena and be able to recoup more funds than you otherwise might be able to. And that's a technical issue.
Homeowner associations approaching 30 years of age better have their documents reviewed very quickly.
We need to start talking about this more often. This is the first time we've really gotten in this area. But anyway, there's our song. Went by fast
They're
today.
playing us out.
It did. Yes, we'll leave you with this. The Marketable Record Title Act is for HOAs that Robert was just mentioning, and high-rise condominiums. You need to make a decision if you're going to opt out of the fire sprinkler retrofit before the end of the year. 954-928-0680 or 561-241-4462, or just easy at 800-974-0680, kbrlegal.com. Thank you.
We'll see you next Monday. Drive careful. Peace and love, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show with Steve-O and Renee. Tune in every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the preceding